Chris, what would I do without you? Hello, my dear friend. Okay, let's try that again. Shredward, good morning. How are you? Thanks so much for being first. Gosh darn it, Jerry, the vegan rock star. Pleasure breaking bread / tofu together in Anaheim. Gosh darn it, Chris Alexander, thanks so much. Mike Rand, I think we got the sound thing. Mostly dialed. Okay, there we go. Hang on a second. So Mike, hello, 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 hello. Mike, the other Mike, hello, hello, hello. Okay, Albert, what's going on, my man? Great to see you. Good morning. Is he actually back with the chalkboard too? Oh, and how? Not only that, we have modal overlays. First of all, Gary, hey, what's going on, my dear friend? Great to see you. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, yes, I do. Okay. All right, hey, what's going on, Braxel? Hey. Okay, first of all, in case we haven't met, my name's Doug. This is Doppler'S Gear Garage, and I'm here for you. We get a chance to hang out and talk about what I affectionately refer to as guitar talk. And so it's a combination of gear talk and answering any questions you've got, as well as a little bit of stuff that's near and dear to my heart about kind of understanding how this whole guitar thing works. Also, my dear friend Chris Alexander, as is always the case, shot through some really great questions. He always kind of primes the pump here. And I think the one that really kind of shot the dagger straight through my heart, or the arrow, or whatever it is for those of us that either consciously or unconsciously have set goals for 2026, how we go about staying on target with those, what it is that we can do to activate that discipline that propels us through the year so we actually reach our goals, as opposed to kind of looking back, well, I kind of did this. So first of all, I would love it if anybody who has kind of set some practice goals for 2026, if they would put them down in the chat. That would be great, because it gives me some insight. So that would be fantastic. Mold overlay, there goes my morning wood. Ho, ho, ho. So the thing about all of this is that I think one of the great things that's happened over the past couple of weeks is I had a chance to, first of all, be in Anaheim. Holy cow, there we go. It's more like it. At the NAMM show, and before that, I was at Nuno Betancourt's guitar camp. And these camps are always really insightful, because I get a chance to see and hear firsthand the common challenges that people face. And for the most part, it's kind of the same stuff over and over. And so in many ways, one of my favorite analogies is to liken myself to a car mechanic. That is to say, I don't work on my minivan that gets me from point A to point B with copious amounts of gear as needed. But I do have a guy that I take it to, and they go ahead and fix stuff. I don't know what they do, but they are an expert at kind of being able to look under the hood, and I can kind of go, hey, it's making this kind of noise, it's doing that. And they go, oh, got that. It's matter of fact to what they do. So in a sense, as a guitar teacher of so long, one of the things I love being able to do is help people kind of go, oh, well, that you just need to adjust your timing belt, and all these simple things that to me are relatively straightforward, because I've seen them so many times. I recognize them, but from, kind of, if you will, the outside looking and going, hey, I want to just get this better. It's a constant thing. Mark, hello. Great to see and hear you at the camp. Awesome. With great pleasure. Mark was flying away on the V, which is awesome. All right. And gosh darn it, David, what's happening? I just put my guitar away after playing for 2 hours. Please get it back out. And I love that. So, Gilberto, buenos dias, mi buen amigo. Okay, so I'm going to, hey, Francesco, hang on a second. I need to get a little bit more caught up. Great to see you. I will do so, and hopefully an informative way of doing so. Adam, hello, hello, hello. Okay, so a couple of things that are on my mind. Being Doppler'S Gear Garage, one of the things that I did here, this is the little rig that I played, 'twas the night before NAMM. So every year, Worship Musician Magazine and Collective Guitar Magazine do this kind of pre-NAMM hang. And last year, I got stuck on the other side of a fire that was ravaging the grapevine. This year, I was able to make it. And this is, short of an extra cabinet, a scaled down version of that rig. And one of the things that I figured I would do would be to go through a couple of things about putting together a rig. And I was about 3 minutes going live here late because I was frantically trying to put this rig together. So there are a couple of things about all of this. Number one, can I suggest, if you're not in the habit of other people tearing your rig apart, don't let them. So at the end of the night, some folks really kindly offered to tear my rig down, and they destroyed this cable. So if you're kind of feeling the anal retentive needs, like, no, it's really cool, I got this, let me break my own rig down, let this be a reminder as to why that's the case. Nobody wants their cables to be like this. So we're going to talk a little bit about a rig that takes all of about 5 minutes maximum put together. And I want to talk a little bit about strategically what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and why. And so with that said, at the heart of this little rig, I've got this little Mesa Boogie. It's a Mark 525, and it's a really great little rig. It's got a clean channel. That sounds great. Generally, I play it in rooms that have enough reverb that I don't have to turn on the onboard reverb, but that's in the back if I need it. The other thing is that because it's 25 watts, if you bang the front end, you can get the clean channel to break up. In case, there it is. Now, this is my favorite trusty. That's an Eventide time factor. And the reason I chose that delay is for a number of reasons. I guess that's the reasons I chose it. First of all, if you've ever been on a bouncy stage, or you have yet to play on a stage and move on to a stage and take your rig on, sometimes you'll end up on a stage where there is a hollow spot, and God forbid that's the place where you start setting up your rig, and as the drummer starts playing, you find stuff starts bouncing up and down. And the great thing about this old school time factor is it's built like a rock, and it's a great sounding delay. What's neat about it is you've got controls on the face of this thing, so you don't have to menu dive on a dark stage, and it's very, very straightforward to set up. It can run in stereo, but I just run it in mono. It has an old school kind of wall wart that's going there, and I run it in the loop. I have my channel switching foot switch, but for the sake of time today, I did not connect that. Just enables me to go clean, dirty, if you will, between the two different channels, as well as turn the EQ on and off. Now, the main thing I really wanted to show you was the backside of what's happening here, because for those of you that, are working your various rigs or kind of want a little bit of rig logic, it's really straightforward. I've got my send going to the delay, and I've got the return coming from the delay. Now, originally, my send would have been this black cable, and that's my logic, that I can always be over the side here, and I can see that so long as I set my black on the send and the red on the return, I don't have to be in the back of the amp to go, hey, the black cable is going to the input of the delay, the red cable is going to the output. That is, say, black is sending out from the black depths behind the amp, and the red is returning back from the place that I can see it. That logic means that I can get that part of the rig set up really quickly. In this particular case, I'm running a single 8-ohm cabinet. For that particular show, I was running a pair of 8-ohm cabinets, in which case, instead of having it plugged into the singular 8-ohm jack, when you're running two 8-ohm cabinets, you plug those two 8-ohm cabinets into the two 4-ohm outputs, because that matches the impedance correctly for the cabinets, the impedance of the cabinets, and the impedance of the amplifier. Again, single 8-ohm cabinet, 8-ohm output. Two 8-ohm cabinets, the two 4-ohm outputs. All right, so again, kind of from left to right here, we have our send going to the input of the delay, or the return coming from the output of the delay. In this case, a single high-quality speaker cable. The deal is that if you have a crappy speaker cable and it happens to short out, you'll quite potentially blow up your amplifier. Now, I'm glad you asked about this blue tape across the top, because this is kind of one of the most important little hacks I've ever kind of in desperation come up with. So the other thing is because everything's on wheels, I can generally pretty easily just flip stuff around, which was kind of the whole point of this exercise. So traditionally, what I will do is I will take a piece of tape like this, and I'll go like that, and I'll take another piece of tape like this, and I will, well, you get the idea, go across that, including covering the faders on the graphic EQ. And for those of us that have, oh, you can't see, well, there's a rack, but for road cases, usually when you put the head down in the road case, or you put the top of a road case down on top of head, you usually bump the controls a little bit, and definitely the sliders on the graphic EQ. So by putting that tape across the top, your settings are pretty much guaranteed to be like they were when you taped them when you end up over at the gig. And so turning my delay back on and moving back over to this channel, bring the volume down a little bit so we don't get quite as much hiss. And so the funny thing is, literally, I plugged that delay in. I didn't touch anything. I probably hadn't used it for 5 years. And I will admit, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, I'm just depending that it's going to work. And of course, it did. So the thing about this is I'm taking some tried and true things. I'm just kind of going, hey, I was able to put together this whole rig literally from scratch. Like I said, I didn't audition this before. I kind of dragged it down there with me. But this is a 5-minute put it together, and you're up and running. Unlike some of the more complicated stuff that I do like that. But the idea is, again, if you got you got to get on stage, you got to get your tone dialed, and you got to be happy with it. And so the whole thing about this was I spent very little time dialing it in. I did make some subtle adjustments on the graphic EQ. Nice creamy tone. It can get crazy loud if need be, and I probably played crazy loud at that kind of event. In any case, we'll switch that back over to clean for a quick second. I'm going to take that like that, and I'm going to bring the volume down here. I'm going to adjust my clean channel a little bit. That'll work. Okay, so here's the deal. First of all, let me just get down into the comments here. I don't want to get comment crazy, but I also want to make sure I say hello to everybody, like my dear friend, Cece, what's going on? Wally, what's happening? Good morning, good morning, good morning. I love that photo. Tony Librand, hello, hello, hello. Robert Valdez, good morning, Bay Area brother. Tom Atkins, hello, my dear friend. Okay, let me get to work on one of the things that we're going to be doing today. First of all, I think we're going to start here. And this is one of the really important things that I can be sharing with all of you good people. Oh, no, go away. There we go. This is first of all, if we haven't met, my name's Doug. Thanks for joining us. If you've got any questions, feel free to bring them in. John Mello, coffee time. Might as well. Hang on a second. Let's raise them up. Do me a favor. Let me know where it is that you're coming from and what it is you're drinking. I got the Pete's going on here with a little muscle milk. John, sorry we were not able to connect in person as we were exchanging messages down in the Southland. I hope you had an amazing NAMM show. All right, to my left, which is on my right, or something like that, that is the major scale in a way that we're usually not used to seeing it. In this particular case, I wanted to go with the C major scale. And that's written, as you see, the the box on the left is a C, and in the box on the right is an 8, indicating we're starting off at the 8th fret on the low E string. We're just basically going to go 8, 10, 12, 8, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, 9, 10, 12, 10, 12, 13, 10, 12, 13. And traditionally, we're used to seeing that as a fingering, as opposed to actually kind of going, hey, what are those note names that are driving it? And one of the big talking points that I'm kind of fixated on these days is, what happens if we learn to recognize the relationship of, for example, how the notes actually work together? Because if we, as guitar players, actually had a better understanding of it, the things that have a tendency to get us stuck playing pattern number 1 of the minor pentatonic in the same keys over and over, or whatever it is that you do with the modes that you do over and over, what boxes is in, generally speaking, is we don't have a tendency to think of these things as the notes that are actually drawing the shape. So literally, if I took the notes of the C major scale as in C, hold to D, hold to E, half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, I just went C, hold to D, hold to E, half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, half to C, hold to D, and I kind of began to go, oh, that's why that scale has that shape. Another way to look at this, if you kind of looked at this as a number line, and I took the first 3 points of that number line, C, D, E, I took the next 3 points, F, G, A, so on and so forth, you kind of see this little, if you will, geometric shape is a combination of, if you will, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different spots of the number line for the key of C major. Not if I play an F sharp. So I also want to talk about one thing, especially since I played that F sharp there. One of the things I want to suggest everybody do, and I want to give you a logic system for doing this, is just be able to find C on any string. Why? The key of C major is the key with no sharps or flats, and if there's kind of a starting place to begin, the key of C major would be it. And just in case you're wondering what all this stuff is about, let's see if I can get it with a little bit less glare. There we go. What I've done is I've taken the C major scale, and if you look down here, you can see I basically created C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major triads in root position, first inversion, second inversion, and first position. And this is what, to kind of answer Chris's question a little bit, and we're going to tie these things in slightly about kind of setting goals for yourself. This is what I lie in bed racking my brain about. And I got to tell you, this has been a little bit of a journey for me, and still is. I want to be able to go in my brain without effort going C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E. Sorry, that was an E flat. G, C, E, C, E, G, G, E, C, E, C, G, C, G, E, G, E, C. And that's seeing, again, root position, first inversion, second inversion, root position. Backwards root position, backwards second inversion, backwards first inversion, and backwards root position. And being able to do that for C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F, C, E, G. Because when you can do that for the key of C major, then to just do it for the key of G would be G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F sharp. We'll come back to that a little bit. But the idea is those triad note groups never change. And be able to and actually know, rather than just the shapes, which is how we have a tendency to think of C major or D minor or E minor, but actually go, hey, that's C, E, G, C, E, G, and that's D, F, A, D, F, A. Most of us just don't think about the shapes like that. And if we had a greater insight for being able to do that, we would probably be in a much better place as we kind of think about what's happening. So that is to say, as we look at these C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A, G, F, D, E, C, we actually begin to go, holy cow, I know where those notes are. So where I want to start everybody off with is a kind of a strategy around just finding a C. And the idea is, if we think about it, most of us know where that C major chord is at the 8th fret there. But in terms of a logic system, that's E, half to F, hold to G, hold to A, and we know how to tune the A string, so I guess that's A, hold to B, half to C. So that is to say, we got that there, and we play up the octave. So there's our first C. So if we think about our cowboy chord, A, B, C, and an octave up from there, there's our next C on the 5th string. That is to say, we had 8th fret and the octave up there. What, a 15, 17, 18, 15, 17, 19, 20th fret. Of course, that's the 22nd, so that would make the 20th fret. So we got it at the 8th and the 20th fret. We got it at the 3rd and the 15th fret. We now have this one, which is a little strange. We're at D at the 10th, at the 12th fret, and we go down a whole step to C at the 10th fret, and also the 20th fret up there. So there's our C again right there. Then we got, if you think about tuning the B string, G hold to A hold to B, a half step up from there, it's going to be C. So that's going to be at the 5th fret, and that's going to be at the 17th fret. And then we have the 1st fret on the 2nd string, B half to C, and then again the octave of that B half to C there, and then we got that same octave at the 8th fret and the 20th fret. So that is we've got C here and here. We got C here and here. We got C here and here. We've got C here and here. We got C here and here. And again, we've got the octave of these guys, C here and there. And that just gives us a logical way to have a way of getting there. Again, we could just very simply on each of these strings, keeping in mind as we climb up the key of C, go C, hold a D, hold the E, half to F, E and F, first adjacent natural half step, C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, half to C. So E and F, E and F, and B and C, the natural adjacent half steps. All other natural adjacent notes like C and D, D and E, F and G, G and A and B are a whole step apart. So if we can remember E and F and B and C, that's kind of what we need to track. So E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, there's C. All right, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So we can count our way there, but eventually we just want to remember, all right, oh, there's my C, there's my C. But we have a method for getting there. A, hold a B, half to C. All right, C, octave up, A, B, C. Got it. All right, we're at the 10th fret. That's D. A whole step down is going to be C, C, G, A, B, C. And again, if we tune that B string, we know that's B, so that must be C there at the 5th fret. And at the 17th fret, G, A, B, C. Again, the same way we got up there, we can count our way up there. And at least we can use this as the same way that we get from here to here to get from there to there. Again, then we got B half to C, B half to C, and then the same thing we had here, E, F, G, A, B, C, E half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B half to C, and then E half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B half to C. By the way, it's entirely possible nobody has ever done what I just did there, so I'm going to do it one more time. And it's totally logical what's happening. I'm just kind of going my way from the open E string up to C, and I'm just mirroring that from the 12th fret, the octave of E. So E half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B half to C. E half to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B half to C. So we can kind of learn, if you will, to slice the neck in half, and that just allows us to have a system for being able to locate these notes. Generally, as you probably noticed, I don't think of them as the fret location. I just think about the note names up there. And so the ability to go, then we've developed a logic system. Finally, we got C, 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 C. And it's a great way you set a metronome going, and you just get used to doing that. Starting with C is a great place to begin, because then if you're feeling confident about that, I guess you can go D, 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 and then you start just having a way to be able to go, oh, I can relate to all of this that's going on. Also, wouldn't be bad to necessarily go C, D, 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 D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C. Holy cow, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C, D, C. So you're not just looking for individual notes, you're learning to locate them in different places. All right, with this bit of stuff that's over there, we've taken this C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, and mapped it across these strings like this in a way that we're normally used to seeing the fingering versus the note names. And gosh darn it, if we had been shown this when we first started playing the scale, we would have actually known why it had the shape that it did. And eventually, if we played in other keys, we would go, oh, well, if I'm playing it at G, I guess that's because G, hold the A, hold the B, have to C, hold the D, hold the E, hold the F sharp if I'm playing the G major scale, have to G, oh, I guess G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And we're thinking of the scales rather than a shape with finger numbers as the note names. It completely changes the game for those of us that like, wheelie, 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 I'm playing the shape, but if I'm some key that I'm not comfortable with, you know, the dots and the spaces are in the wrong spot. It's supposed to like, well, you know, all I have to be able to do is figure out the order of the whole steps and half steps based on the major scale. Let me just backtrack one step, so to speak. If we think about C, hold a D, hold a E, half to F, hold a G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C. The natural adjacent half steps, that is to say the notes with no sharps or flats, adjacent, then are next door to each other. Natural adjacent half steps are between E and F as we climb up the key of C, and B and C. And that also occurs at the 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 1. So that's the 3 and the 4 and the 7 and the 1. So we could take that and go 1, hold a 2, hold a 3, half to 4, hold a 5, hold a 6, hold a 7, half to 1. And that gives us G, hold a A, hold a B, half to C, hold a D, hold a E, hold a F sharp, half to G. So this 2 holes and a half and 3 holes and a half business, which you can also think of the half steps occurred between 3 and 4 and 7 and 1, is what drives, if you will, the harmonic motor of the major scale. So you just kind of learn to move that around to different keys. You can also think of that as major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second, minor second, major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second. And now we're talking in a language that we've invited our ear to be part of the conversation. That is to say, if I go G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, that's kind of a visual thing. My ear's hearing that. But when I describe this as a major second, that's describing the interval, the distance between those two notes. All of a sudden, we're saying to ear, hey, major second, another major second, minor second. Oh, okay, those are the tools of measurement where this is a whole step, another whole step, and a half step. Yes, we can hear that, but we have a tendency to go, oh, whole step, 2 frets, whole step, 2 frets, half step, 1 fret. We use that to also calculate the note names. But when we talk about major seconds and minor seconds, we're specifically describing the major second and a minor second. That's simply saying a major second is taking the first 2 notes of the major scale. A minor second is flatting that second note. So instead of being a whole step apart, they're a half step apart. So with all that said, as we look at this little bit of business right here, the thing that I'm kind of getting more comfortable doing is seeing some of the obvious things that are hiding in plain sight. That is to say, I can't poke at this and have you see where I'm poking, but if you take this C, and that C, and that D, and that D, and that D, and that E, and that E, and that E, and that F, and that F, and that F, and that G, and that G, and that A, and that A, and that B, and that B, and that C, and that C, and that D, and that D, and that E, and that E, and that F. All of a sudden, you start really being inside the note names in a way. And when I started running through that this morning in preparation for today, I was like, whoa. And mind you, there will be times you start to do this stuff, and it'll feel like somebody's kind of, if any of you ever, no, I'm not going to reference Hannibal. I guess I did. There's a scene in the Hannibal movie where, I won't describe the scene, but it feels like somebody's poking around in your brain. You're like, it's just this weird feeling where synapses that have never really connected with one another start to connect. But the deal is, if you can go, hey, C, 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 D, sorry, I got to play D, 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 E, 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 and you begin to kind of go, wait a second. We're not thinking about this as note names. We're thinking about stretch 1, 2, 4, stretch 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, as opposed to C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, F, E, D, C, B, A. So it just is a completely different way of not only looking at it, but thinking about it. And the thinking about it part becomes really important. So let's say we're playing a C major chord. Getting back over to this little chart here, we've got our C, E, G. Those are the notes of the, so we're kind of so if we can kind of go, hey, there's my C, E, G, C, E, G, C, E inside there. I'm not thinking about an arpeggio shape. I'm thinking about the notes of the arpeggio. So let's say our chord progression. Now there I actually cheated. I was playing that little arpeggio shape, but I know that's D, F, A, D, F, A, D, A, F, D, A, F, D. And that is to say that if you look at this, D, F, A are the notes of this D minor arpeggio. So our chord progression. So I'm kind of still hanging out, playing these 7 notes, but I'm hedging my bets because I know that D, F, and The D, F, and A are the money notes when we're playing over that D chord, because that D chord is made up of a D, A, D, F, A, and a D. So it means that those notes out of that C major scale are the notes. I played a little chromatic thing there, pointing out the fact that I'm walking you up harmonically so you can really hear where I'm going with those notes. And the point being is it means that we're able to leverage this thing that we would have just thought of as stretch 1 2 4, stretch 1 2 4, 1 2 4, 1 2 4, 1 3 4, 1 3 4 as C D E F G A B C. So we got C E G, boom, D F A, boom, E G B, boom, F A C, boom, G B D, A C E, B D F, and C E G. Now this is where getting comfortable with these different inversions gets really helpful, because instead of starting from the root, because the deal is let's just say I'm going to target the CEG and the DFA. I do not want to steal it, and I can see some comments that are going by, but I'm not going to respond to them yet. But hopefully this is helpful. I know it's helpful, but hopefully it is helping actively. Because again, the deal is that knowing which notes in the scale work best over the respective chords it's what making music is about. And we, as guitar players, don't have a methodology for doing that. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So the other way you can think about this, we could think about in the key of C major, 1 chord, 2 chord, 3 chord, 4 chord, 5 chord, 6 chord, 7 chord, and 1 chord. So we can think about it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So I think I played a wrong note in there somewhere, but the point being is 1, C major, 2, D minor, 3, E minor, 4, F major, 5, G major, 6, A minor, 7, B diminished, and the 1, C major. So you can think about that's my 1 chord and my 2 chord. And in the key of C, that's going to be C major and D minor. So as we think about C major and D minor, one of the things that's kind of cool, and this is gently touching on something that I'm sure Rick Beato is going to do a video on. So at the Nuno Betancourt camp, without stealing Rick's material, because that's kind of uncool, I can say inspired by Rick Beato. He was doing crazy stuff with arpeggios. I was like, wow. But one of the things that he was talking about doing, which I'm going to gently borrow, was the idea is if I'm going to take my C major arpeggio and then go to a D minor arpeggio, most of us would be inclined to go C, E, G. Hold on. Most of us would be, click, there we go. Would be inclined to go C, E, G, and D, F, A. But if you think about the next note above G in a D arpeggio, it's going to be A. So that is say we are going to go C, E, G, and then A, D, F. That is a C, E, G, A, D, F. And as a way of working through the arpeggio, and it is a masterful way to really force yourself to be able to own the note names and be able to apply them in here. So that is say we just took this, if you look at the middle, sorry, you look at the lower and the upper note on the 6th string, C and E, and the middle note on the 5th string, that G, and then you went then, instead of going D, F, A being the middle note on the 6th string and the lower and upper notes on the 5th string, we started that upper note on the 5th string having come from that C, E, G. Now we're going to go A, D, F. And it is a more eloquent way to be able to do it. And it also forces you to just get comfortable with like, hey, I finished at my G note of those D, Fs, As. What's the next note in the D minor arpeggio above that G note. Oh, I guess that would be D, F, A. Oh, A, all right. And the next thing I'm going to go to is that means I'm starting at the, if you will, if this is a 1, 3, 5, take my word for it, this is a 1 flat 3, 5. So instead of going 1 flat 3, 5, we're going to go 5, 1 flat 3. And that's where all of this little business all of a sudden really begins to matter. And I got to tell you, I'm usually pretty good with this stuff. So 3 really important things to keep in mind. And this is going to be super valuable for everybody that's out there. And a bunch of you will know this, but a bunch of you might not. People have 3 primary learning modalities. Number 1, most of us are visual learners. So that is to say, when we look at that shape and we see the finger numbers, that's how our brain goes, got it. Then we practice it, but we're taking that information off the page, and I'm kind of liking the idea. You put a straw in your eye, you go, and that's how it gets into your brain. For other folks, they have to hear it, be able to hear that. All right, they have to be able to hear that C. And who visual teaching is totally frustrating. And I experienced this in my teaching student. I remember putting, the shapes out on the page for one student in particular. I don't remember their name, but I remember the experience very clearly. And I said something to the effect of, can't you see it? And they said, no. And I went, oh. And I didn't kind of cognitively know about kind of these 3 modalities then, but I kind of went, they learn differently than I do, which means I need to teach them differently. So I got them to kind of start fingering that. And then what happens with kinesthetic learners, where a visual learner kind of sees it and then creates the muscle memory from seeing it, a kinesthetic learner takes that process in reverse. So they have to get the touch and the feel of it underneath their fingertips, and then they draw the picture at the end. So at the end result is you've got both of those things happening, but they happen in the opposite order. So if you've been a kinesthetic learner and spent a disproportionate amount of your life really frustrated that you got all these people, can't you see? It's like, no, that's not how you learn. There's nothing wrong with you. Actually, in many ways, the idea of being a kinesthetic player, if I kind of go, if you want to play in, B flat, I'm in B flat. You're like, hey, oh, sorry, that wasn't a B flat, sorry. You're like, hey, yeah, no problem. If you put those of us that are visual players and from A minor pentatonic, our comfort key, and we go to B flat, and try and move up and down the neck. Everything's in the wrong place. It's just placed by a fret. You know what I'm talking about. For those of us that kind of started off in A minor pentatonic, and the first time we went to play in B flat, it was terrifying because everything's in the wrong place. But if, for example, kind of per the example that's over there, we'd kind of gone, hey, this is A, C, D, E, G, A, and this is B flat, D flat, E flat, F, A flat, and B flat. You're like, got it. And then you're actually just thinking about it as the note names rather than just the shape. So getting back to that bit of business, again, and that's literally kind of taking a total of 3 notes, kind of doing leapfrog across 3 notes worth. So that I say, I'm starting at C, skipping D, go to E, skipping F, go to G, C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F, C, E, G, and D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F. And now you're going to see how I do backwards. Let's go F, D, B, E, C, A, D, B, G. And those triads, this is kind of what I've been kind of busting my chops on, is being able to basically go C, E, G, G, E, C, D, F, A, F, D, E, G, B, B, G, E. And going forwards and backwards, and then G, E, C, C, E, G, backwards, then forwards. It is a mind melt on a different level that will fry your brain until you kind of get used to going, hey, let's take a step back and look at this in a slightly more logical fashion. Here we're just harmonizing the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and thirds. C and E, D and F, E and G, F and A, G and B, A and C, B and D, and C and E. And a really stupidly easy way to do this without ruining your brain for the day is just go, hey, all right, A, B, C, right? A hold to B, F to C. Again, the half steps occur between as we climb up the key of C major, C hold to D, hold to E, half to F, E and F, and B and C. All right, A, B, C. All right, so we're starting at C, hold to D, hold to E, F to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, F to C. C, F to B, hold to A, hold to G, hold to F, F to E, hold to D, hold to C. Again, E and F and B and C, write that down. 3 and 4 and 7 and 1, write that down as well. So if we go up a third, that's going to be C, hold to D, hold to E. You can play that E over there. E, have to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, have to C, hold to D, hold to E. E, hold to D, hold to C, have to B, hold to A, hold to G, hold to F, have to E, which you can simply think of as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And we're just going to play those notes at the same time. We're just harmonizing the C major scale. And if we can just track, hey, I'm at C, that's E, that becomes D, that becomes F, that's E and G. But more importantly, kind of getting back to this little bit of monkey business, if we think about it a little bit smarter, because it would be really easy to go, hey, the order and the sound of the shapes. So there I'm playing it by ear. I can hear the sound. I know what it is, but I'm literally kind of playing it, really just letting the sound drive that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now I'm going to kind of go, there's my major shape, there's my minor shape. I'm going to think of it just as the shape of, there's my major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. However, if we put on our thinking cap and go, you know, if I were a piano player, I would be reading these notes, and in the act of learning how to finger this stuff, I would actually know the note names I'm playing because I'd actually be reading the note names that I'm playing. All right, well, there's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. There's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So there's C, E, D, F, E, G, F, A, G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E. Let's get a little tricky. E, C, D, B, C, A, B, G, we'll mess with your brain. B, G, A, F, G, E, C, D, F, D, E, C. And, right, because what happened was that I stopped thinking about the note names. There's G, E, F, D, E, C. And I'm not super fast at it yet, but as I get, and because the thing is, it's one thing to go C, D, let me rephrase. The goal is to be able to go, hey, I can see, because I've gone C, hold to D, hold to E, have to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, have to C, C, have to B, hold to A, hold to G, hold to F, have to E, hold to D, hold to C. I can see where C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and C are. And if I go E, D, E, have to F, hold to G, hold to A, hold to B, have to C, hold to D, hold to E, E, hold to D, hold to C, have to B, hold to A, hold to G, hold to F, have to E. I can see where E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. So that means I should be able to go, all right, E, C, D, B, C, A, B, G, A, F, G, E. This is where I blew it the last time. That's F, and I know that's F. I don't know, ever play an F chord? I have F, D, and E, C. Now, we'll take a paradigm shift of kind of going, wow, I'm seeing the notes in a completely different way. But the ability to be able to kind of get into here and be able to kind of go and be able to get in and start playing those triads upside down like that, that's kind of one of the things that's super important to have happen. All right, I'm going to hit the brakes there for just a quick second because I covered a crap ton of stuff. And for some of the folks out there, you're like, what in the world is he talking about? But most of the people, it's not. But it's a different way of looking at things. And again, that example, when I kind of went from C major to D minor, my strongest encouragement would be, and I'll be doing this with my poor students today, would be to take C major and any one of the other chords, as in D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major, and go. Build little 2-chord progressions. So that's C major. All right? So we had C, E, G. That next one was going to be E, G, B. So that is going to be E, G, B. So since I ended up at G, I got to go B, E, G, B, B, G, E. Sorry, B, E, G. Right. So that is a. So I'm not there yet, but I know what I need to do to get there. So per Chris's question, like, what are some of the goals that people are setting for themselves for this year? I want to be able to navigate, not just going C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, A, C, G, B, D, A, C, E, B, D, F, C, E, G, but also be able to go, all right, there's my C, E, G. Now I need to be able to go, all right, my E minor triad is going to be E, G, B. Well, that's going to be my B, E, G is how I'm going to get through that triad. And that guy right there is going to be B, E, G right there. So what I'm forcing myself to do is, all right, I got my, I'm going to play it here. Basically, I'm going E, G, B, G, B, E, B, E, G, B, thinking cap on, G, B, E, B, E, G, E, G, B, B, G, E, G, E, B, E, B, G, B, G, G, E. And the backwards part feels a little bit, if you've ever fallen backwards, it feels a little bit like that until you get used to doing it. So for those of you that are willing to bite the bullet on this, I would suggest, first of all, just learning to harmonize this in thirds, going up from the 1 to the 3. Going C, E, D, F, E, G, F, A, G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, so on and so forth. Then flipping it around, but going C, E, E, C, D, F, F, D, up and down. Then E, C, C, E, F, D, D, F, E, G, G, E, E, G. And then just going, all right, I'm just going to bite the bullet. I'm going to go E, C, F, D, G, E, so on and so forth, up and down. Then the next thing is that's the 1s and the 3s, going in different order. Then the 3s and the 5s. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about triads. That major triad is a major third and a minor third and a perfect fourth. Minor triad is a minor third and a major third and a perfect fourth. A diminished triad is a minor third, minor third, and augmented fourth. So it allows you to kind of begin to think about the shapes a little bit as we're beginning to calculate that. That is to say, I've got my major third, minor third, perfect fourth. Minor third, major third, perfect fourth. So it allows us to kind of have the benefit of being able to track those shapes as we're putting these chords together. That was a lot to digest there, other than to say your major triad starts off with a major third, a minor third, and a perfect fourth. A minor triad flips the bottom 2 thirds. Minor third, major third, perfect fourth. A diminished triad, minor third, another minor third, an augmented fourth. But it means you can begin to calculate the shapes of these things. There's my major third, minor third, perfect fourth. Minor third, major third, perfect fourth. Minor third, major third, perfect fourth. Major third, minor third, perfect fourth. Major third, minor third, perfect fourth. Minor third, major third, perfect fourth. Minor third, augmented fourth, and major third, minor third, perfect fourth. So it means as you kind of begin to track, we're at the 1, if that was a major third, this is going to be a minor third. We're at the 2, if that was a minor third, it's a major third. So I'm the 1, major third, at between the 3 and the 5. Minor third, major third, minor third, major third, major third, minor third, major third, minor third, minor third as we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So it allows me to go, all right, I'm at E, that's G. Now the great thing about this is that the combination that we had when we were going 1 and 3 is the same as when we go 3 and 5. That is to say, if this C major triad is 1, 3, 5, 1 and 3 is a third, and 3 and 5 is the third, but 1's a major third, the other's going to be a minor third. But they're still a third apart. So if we can remember C, E, D, F, E, G, F, A, G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, most of our work is done. That is to say, this little triad here is C, E, and E, G. That is to say, if we kind of took these guys and went like that, that's the same thing as going. So we went like this. That's C major. That's D minor, E minor, F major, G major, B minor, sorry, A minor, B, uh, B diminished, and C major. Some folks I went over where you're at. It's all good. All we're saying is hey, we're manipulating how we're putting these thirds together to create that chord right there. So there is some shapeology that you can use to help work through this. That is, say, there's my major third, there's my minor third. So I'm like, okay, C, E, E, G. And those note names, E, G, are the same as what we had there. So if I can memorize C, E, D, F, E, G, then as I'm going C, E, E, G, D, F, F, A, because I memorized F, A there, F, A hasn't changed. I'm now just, instead of playing it across two strings, I'm playing it there. And that just gives me a little bit of a comfort around seeing the spacing between the notes. Third. Where it gets weird is these guys when we're going from the 5 to the 1. Those are fourths. So I can demonstrate this another way. This little guy here, C, E, E, G, this little bit here is the same as there. That little bit there is the same as there. That bit, so on and so forth. Is when we start going from the 1, 3, 5 or 1 flat 3, 5 to the 1, we are now jumping in fourths. And that guy is the augmented fourth. So we're basically going and those notes are a little bit harder to track. And that's where it just kind of gets used to going, all right, well, if I can just track, that is D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And this is G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All right, G, C. G, C, all right. A, D, all right. And then B, E, okay, got that. C, E, got that, all right. And this is one of the reasons I created this chart for myself, because I've been lying in bed doing this in my head. And I was like, I'm a visual learner. I should actually do that. And so rather than just doing it for myself, I did that for us selves so we could kind of have a visual thing. So I would suggest doing this and putting this on, is writing it. I literally just went C all the way to C, so you've got an octave. And I went to the third and the fifth. So that's C, E, G, C, E, G. And once you've started it there you went C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. You did the same thing starting at E, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then I started the octave. And that allows you to begin to see the root position, first inversion, and second inversion, and then root position again. And that is about this little bit of business going 1, 3, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 1, 3, 1, 3, 5, 5, 3, 1, 3, 1, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 3, 1. And getting comfortable with being able to, this is a mind bender, C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E, C, E, G, G, E, C, E, C, G, C, G, E, G, E, C. And my goal is, it's going to take me about a month, maybe 2 months, to be able to do that fluently for the key of C up and down each one of those arpeggios. However, and by the way, if you were to kind of look at the shape of this, I'm just going to hang out here. Just think about putting your middle finger at C, and you're just playing those notes in position, going C, E, G, C, E, G. And it's really a C major bar chord with that little E note right there. D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor. And this B diminished guy is like taking a B minor chord and flatting that F sharp and turning into an F. And literally, if you wanted to hit the high E string and I'm fingering the fifth string at the 14th fret, and the high E string at the 13th fret, and that is a B diminished. But it basically is taking that same major chord shape, and that's C, G, C, E, G, and adding that little E right there, C, E, G, C, E, G, G, E, C, G, E, C. And it's just the same 3-note cycling over, but getting used to going C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E, C, E, G. And the backwards part, it's a mind bender, but once you get used to it, you get used to it. The visual part's going to help about 90% out there. The rest kind of working off the neck and be able to go, all right, I can see that C. Again, this is where just being able to work off this one chord, the C major chord, adding, being able to go right, A, B, C, all right, got it, D, E, F, G, G, A, B, C, B, C, D, E, E, F, G. So that's C, E, G, C, E, G, G, E, C, G, E, C. And you got the notes, all right. And then you just start messing around with it. And just kind of get comfortable with that first one. It will be a little bit of a paradigm shift, but it will just allow you to have much greater insight to being able to integrating this stuff. All right. I'm going to put a little pause on that, and I'm going to dive into the comments, and I'm going to answer any of the questions. Oh, there we go. Okay. First of all, I'm going to need. All right, there we go. Sonia, good morning. How are you? Great to see you. What was the best new thing from them? The funny thing is, and I will kind of get a little chatty here for a second. And by the way, let's see if I can grab a hold of these. Hang on a second. These are. So you know what this is? This is my tether for the fulcrum pedal. So basically what this is a pair of very long TS cables these are TRS rather, sorry, my bad. Cables for Sonia's Genius Fulcrum expression pedal. So it's a dual axis expression pedal that each one of the expression require its own TRS cable. So this is my thread of my loom. It's a loom, ladies and gentlemen. What do you call a group of cables that are put together like that? That's a cable loom. All right, so the funny thing is that I spent most of my time at NAMM preparing for I have the very unique privilege of being able to host the House of Worship Tech Tracks on Saturday of the NAMM show. So I hosted 9 tech tracks back to back from 10 a.m. until 5 p.m. without a gap. It was what I love to do. It's kind of why we go here for a couple of hours, because when we're talking about gear and theory and all that stuff, it's great. So see if I can recollect what they were. The first one was we start off with line 6. Eric Klein, the chief product architect, along with Brian and Bradford from Worship Tutorials and Signal Theory. They collectively, Brian and Bradford, are responsible for nearly 1 million Helix preset downloads. Kind of crazy. Then we had Gibson, Epiphone, and my buddy Andrew Ladner from Gibson, Epiphone, KRK, and that was awesome. Just I love the association I have with that brand and being able to talk about kind of how for worship musicians the various range of products they have to offer. Then we went to IK, then we went to Nord, then we went to what I believe was the quote unquote the drum problem. Churches have this problem where drummers have a tendency to bang away way too loud, so they have the thing called the fishbowl, where they enclose the drummer and various solutions thereof, then how to craft a great sound check and great mixes, then current hot topics in worship sound. Then there was another thing on kind of the latest and greatest stuff around that. And I think the last topic, if I might have left one out, was on serving the Spanish-speaking church. But it was this really very exciting, unique range of different topics that allow me to kind of share things I'm passionate about. So that was all day Saturday. The show didn't have a Sunday day. Friday, I was in my hotel room crafting PowerPoint presentations. And I don't know about you guys, but me and PowerPoint on a hotel internet connection, it's kind of like watching me solder in the back of a cabinet. I usually get more solder on the bottom of a cabinet than I do on the solder joints. It's kind of humorous. And then Thursday, I just kind of took a little time to chill. So that is to say, I did not spend an awful lot of time on the trade show floor. I kind of wandered around a little bit, but I didn't really see anything that kind of I went, oh, holy cow, this was my jam. But I did get a chance to say hi to a couple of people. Chad, good morning, and it was lovely to see you at the show. Thank you so much for inviting me to. I think we got a lesson coming up, don't we, Chad? So invited me to your lovely event, Chad, Boston. I can never remember the name of this thing, but he hosts, hands down, and formed with Chris Saraga, the quintessential Helix user group on Facebook, and so lovely guy. I have befriended him. We've befriended each other, and we have a lovely time hanging out. He had a great Line 6 event that I was privileged to be able to go to, and ate copious amounts of popcorn, which is one of the other things that Chad does. And Chad does these great, by the way, if you have a Helix, he creates these great screen guards that make it so you can't break the touchscreen by doing something stupid like having your lead vocalist step on it. I will be putting together some sort of intelligent thing. There used to be a company called Kit.co, where you could, not for the sake of affiliate links, but for links in general, could put together a link list. I may initially just start off with something as simple as a spreadsheet, but I will be putting a link to all that stuff on there. Eric, good morning, my dear friend. I love you and miss you, my friend. Brent, what's going on, you rock star? So many C's. Come on. Well, we did get to some D's, so how about that? Oh, by the way, quick aside. I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. There is an episode, a Rick Beato episode, where Steve Vai talks about going in, and I mentioned this a few weeks back, but just to reiterate, going in for a lesson and Joe saying, all right, well, play me every F sharp on the neck. And this is the thing, is if we look at the key of C major, C, hold the D, hold the E, F to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, F to C, as in 1, hold the 2, hold the 3, half to 4, hold the 5, hold the 6, hold the 7, half to 1. That is, say, between the 3 and the 4 and the 7 and the 1, that's where the half steps occur numerically and note-wise between E and F and B and C. But the DNA of the major scale is 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. So we've moved that down to G, 2 holes and a half, 3 holes and a half. Well, the half steps occur again between 3 and 4 and 7 and 1. So if we go G, hold the A hold the B, B half to C, C hold the D, D hold the E. Well, that's 1 hold the 2, 2 hold the 3, 3 half to 4, 4 hold the 5, 5 hold the 6. Well, 6 to 7 is a whole step. But that's E. From E to F is a half step, which is why that's E and F sharp. That is to say, if we're at E and we want to move a half step, that's F. But if we're at E and we want to move not a half step, but a whole step, still, because it's either a half step or a whole step, has to be some sort of F note, because we're coming from E natural, E half to F, E hold to F sharp. And that's why the key of G major goes G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And for the same type of reason, the key of F goes F, hold a G, hold a A, brain on, F, hold a G, hold a A, half to B flat, hold the C, hold the D, hold the E, half to F. That is to say, the half steps numerically occur between the 3 and 4 and the 7 and 1. So that's 1, hold the 2, hold the 3, half to 4. Well, that's F, hold the G, hold the A. For an A, from A, hold the B as a whole step. But from the 3 to the 4, we need to move a half step. So for an A, and we're moving a half step, that's going to be B flat. It's a whole step, it's going to be B. We needed a B flat there. That's why the key of F has F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. So the point being is the reason I believe Mr. Satriani asked Mr. Vai about the F sharp is, if we think about C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and we think about G, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. If we think about F, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. Of the keys that we spend time on the guitar with, F, not so much. G, a lot. So being able to identify where your F sharps are means if you know where, for example, I'm going to go on just the first octave, each one of these open strings, E, and instead of playing F, A. Now, a little bit earlier, I identified in his comment about so many C's. Sorry, that was a B flat. C, 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 C. We're going to identify all the F's. Sorry, not like that. Moron. It's G, whole step down to F. Thank you. I can call myself a moron. I'm actually generally pretty gentle on myself. But a little self-ridicule never hurt. So where's my other F? And by the way, how I'm thinking about this, E half to F. All right. My octave of that, E half to F. Then I know, first of all, I could climb up A, B, C, D, E. But we also know, that most of the time I try not to just kind of go, oh, if I know that's E and I know that's E, I know that's A, that's A. I generally try not to use that as my go-to because it starts getting messy as you start moving around further and further away from that. But I know that's E because, we played so many. So that's E, that must be F. All right, so then that's E and F, that's F, 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 right? So again, D, E, F, D, E, F. G, hold the F. I kind of missed that one the last time. G, hold the F. That's E. That must be F. F. So we got E, F, E, F. So it's the same right there. So it's F, 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 F. Well, if I know where F is, then it should be pretty easy to find F sharp. And so the deal is if you can go, all right, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and you know where F and F sharp are, now I can track the notes of G major in any of its relative modes up and down each of these strings, as in E, and so that is to say the key of G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, E, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, D, C, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, so on and so forth. So now all of a sudden when I look at the neck, we talked about this a few weeks ago, the lights kind of turn on to those frets. So instead of seeing a shape, I actually see note names. And that does not mean that that's at the expense of not utilizing shapes when I want to play stuff by shapes. But it means when I go to play, when I want to play in B flat, I actually know that note right there is at the 11th fret. And I know it's a B flat because if that's B, I guess that's B flat. Most of us don't have a system for being able to navigate how to engage playing by the note names, or at least having that part of our system, because we've never been taught that. So it's a very foreign concept. So that's why kind of we're doing this. So if you were to start with one place, starting with the key of C, just the natural notes, but per what Joe asked Steve to do in the lesson that he promptly sent Steve home because he couldn't do it, was to be able to identify the F sharps. And in my opinion, I've got to ask Joe about it, but I'm fairly certain he's going to say, well, it's because the key of G, you get that one sharp. Or I will simply ask him, is that why you said F sharp? Because the idea is every good lesson isn't just the lesson of what you learn. There's some strategy, some strategic thing that is kind of, if you will, a guitar life lesson thing. So that F sharp is really valuable because it allows us to take the natural notes and begin to introduce the accidentals such that we're not scared of them. We're just used to negotiating how to add the different sharps and flats. All right. Gosh darn it. So, yes, so many C's in so little time. Dr. Phil, good morning. Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. 24 degrees in Dallas, Fort Worth. Not your usual hot Texas day. Holy cow. All right, Miguel, great to see you at NAMM, my dear friend. The funny thing is, the crazy thing about these guitar camps is that on a good night, I average 5 hours sleep. On a bad night, less. We'll leave it there. And I had there is a Mesa Boogie amp that actually shipped off yesterday. The brand new 90s triple rectifier solo reissue was here, and I got it before the amp came out, and I had the privilege of doing a demo that launched on my YouTube channel, and the good folks at Mesa Boogie were kind enough to collab on that on YouTube. But basically, I was running a little bit behind with that demo, and I ended up working all night here, and unfortunately having to do something I've never done. I had to cancel the gig. On the Gilby Clarke tour opening for Gilby in Europe, I got sick, and I missed a date because I was sick. But I've never canceled a show, and I had to kind of, with my tail between my legs, call up Larry Mitchell and Ronnie Lee and say, I can't do this show. I'm really sorry, because the amp was here, and I had to finish that video. So I basically, let me suggest never to do this, but basically, I literally worked all night the day before the camp started. Was literally shooting content and then rendering that content 10 minutes after I should have called for my Uber. By the grace of God, I made it to the airport. I had to book a last-minute flight. Got to Vegas. I was up all night, taught at the camp, went into the camp on a sleepless night, taught those nights, and then the last night of camp, my dear friend that I work with really closely at Mesa Boogie was like, can you make some changes to the intro, the talking part? And so what I did was I kind of paced myself. I shot that, I think, the day or the day before the camp ended, and then I had to edit it the last night after the camp ended, and I was having this problem with my laptop. And so I basically got like an hour and a half worth of sleep on that night, and then I went straight into damn. So that is to say, it is not really something I would suggest doing, but the deal is that, as Joe Satriani once said to me, you just got to show up. So in any case, here I am, and I'm really glad to be here. Chris, love you, my dear brother. All right, Francesca, we got genius here. Now that's going to be 5-point font for some folks. I used to suggest memorize C. Hold on, I've got a little overlay here that making me not be able to reach. All right, I used to suggest to memorize C, then think of B or D. Hold on, there we go. Then memorize C, then think to B or D near C, and then find F always symmetrically near C. That is to say, and then think E and G like for C, and you know 6 notes by 1. I hope my English is clear. What do you think? Okay, so first of all, very clear. So I want to slice and dice that by a couple of things. So a little bit earlier, I was going through this for what some people would find confusing. So let me just play a regular, just a little. Actually, I'm going to play a C major triad, and those notes are going to be C, E, G, and C. If I looked at the distance between the C and the E, that's a major third. The E and the G, that's a minor third, and the G and the C, that's a perfect fourth. So if you looked at that kind of as string pairs, you got a major third, minor third, perfect fourth. And a minor triad would be minor third, major third, perfect fourth. So you can begin to think about these relationships if you can see fourths as in kind of, and begin to start pairing these notes up and down the neck in terms of fourths. That was thirds. I'm on the wrong string. Sorry. Wait. Hold on. Brain on. Oh, right. Sorry, no, I'm going the wrong way. I need to be thinking of that. Sorry, brain on. I'm going C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if I think about that C up an octave, and I think of that 1, 3, 5, 1, then the same way we went major third, minor third, perfect fourth. That is that 1, 5, 1, 5 as in 1, 3, 5, 1, 1, 5. And that interval, whether I'm going up from the 5 to the 1 or down from the 1 to the 5, is a perfect fourth. Perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, perfect fourth, augmented fourth, and perfect fourth. So learning to be able to recognize those note names by seeing them as fourth shapes, and or being able to go, all right, I'm on this string. This is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, and being able to go, all right, that G, A, B, C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and being able to relate those notes as in G, C, A, D, B, E, C, F, D, G, E, A, F, B, G, C. I'm really thinking of C as my root. I'm thinking of C, and I'm thinking of the G as my 5. So I'm going 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 1, 5, 5, 1, 5, 1. So 1 is being able to see that intervallic relationship regardless of which direction you're going. That's G and C, and that's C and G. So being able to recognize intervals that are further apart. To take what he's talking about, if I took this right, note ninjas, here we go. We took those first 6 notes there. If we can see, for example, that C, D, E, F, G, A, we can kind of go, okay, well, there's my C and my D. There's my C and my E, my C and my F, my C and my G, my C and my A, and my C and my B. So he was actually talking about kind of the ideas like, hey, if I know where C is, there's D. If I know where C is, there's B. But the idea is, in this particular case, looking at those first 6 notes, C, D, C, E, C, F, C, G, C, A, C, B, C, C. And the idea is you begin to recognize those notes as they relate to one another. For example, if you really wanted to be geeky and get used to this, you would go C, D, D, E. I'm going to do it within the fingering. C, D, D, E, E, F, F, G, G, A, B, B, C, C, D, D, C, C, B, B, A, A, G, G, F, F, E, E, D, D, C. C, E, D, F, E, G, F, A, G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, E, C, D, B, C, A. Holy cow, C, A, B, G, A, G, sorry, A, F, G, E, F, D, E, C. Not as fast going back down. So then the same thing with fourths. So that is say I started with seconds, then thirds. Now we're going to go fourths. So C, F, D, G, A, sorry, E, A. Well, I've got my guide there, F, B. But the point being is actually being, all right, C, F, D, G, E, A, F, B, G, A, G, sorry, my bad, G, C, A, D, B, B, E, C, C, F, gosh darn it. And then backwards, F, C, E, B, D, A, C, G, B, F, E, A, E, G, D, F, C. So that's fourths, then fifths, so on and so forth. So you get used to being able to identify all of those intervals by not only shape but by note name, and then eventually you just have that memorized and used to dealing with it. And the great thing is, sequentially, those intervals never change in terms of the note pairs. So that is to say, where this is just going C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, this is going G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So the only difference between the key of C and the key of G is that we're starting at the C note with with only natural notes. We're starting the G note with only F sharp. So basically I got G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, A, G, B. I'm not going to embarrass myself by working the backwards part. I'll be working on that. All that to say is we get comfortable with looking at them. First of all, because I'm enough of a quote unquote note jockey, I can kind of most of the time go G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, A, G, B. But that's different than going G, B, A, C, B, D, E, C, E, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, A, G, B, B, G, A, F sharp, D, E, sorry, G, E, F sharp, D, E, C, D, B, C, A, B, G. And that's literally kind of doing it by knowing where those notes are. And that's harder until it's not. And then it becomes actually much easier. Because instead of kind of playing the shape and just skipping a note, if I know the note names well enough, and so mind you, I can kind of, because I can go G, B, A, C, sorry, G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, A, G, B. I can go G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, D, F sharp, E, G, F sharp, A, G, B, because I can play the shape and call out the note names at the same time. That's what I'm doing there. But that's different than being able to go, all right, G, B, A, C, and actually going, hey, there's the shape, but actually being able to go, hey, all right, there's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, B is the last third we get. All right, that's G and B. That's as high as I need to go. So I'm basically just taking every other note. I'm good enough with the shapes that I can churn through those by thirds without having to think about the note names. However, by being able to go, all right, there's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, being able to see those note names and learn that's G, B, A, C, B, D. That level of knowledge of the fingerboard for me is going to unlock a much smarter way of soloing. And that is to say, and that's the part of the party that I invited you in on. It's like, if we're going C major and D minor, we can go D, F, A. We can also go A, D, F, and actually know why those notes work. But the whole point is that rather than just, and I'm talking to you, rambling up and down, playing the shape and going like, Well, some of the notes work over some of the chords, and some of the notes don't work quite as well over the other chords, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to learn how to do that. That's what that magic stuff is all about. And again, to credit Mr. Beato, he did this thing where he was like, hey, I'm going to go up the triad, and then when the chord changes, I'm going to go up the next triad from whatever the next note above whatever note I ended on in the previous triad. And it's like, whoa. Because then you have the fluidity that comes with being able to walk through all of that stuff. All right. Gosh darn it. Yes, Francesco, absolutely. All of the above. And so the idea of being able to relationally see things, whether it's seconds, thirds, fourths, right. There we go, fifths, sixths, sorry, sevenths, and so on and so forth. All right, gosh darn it, great, love it. All right, Steve, what's going on? Great to see you, my friend. Chris Alexander, 2 inches of snow in North Georgia, wind chill of 12. It is cold. Wait, but aren't you in Chattanooga, Tennessee? Did I miss something? David Tedeschi, what's going on, my man? This is how I taught myself. I hope you're doing well. Awesome. 2 thumbs up. Way to go. Okay. Yes, crazy. Hello, Michael. Great to see you, my friend. Hello, hello, hello. Oh, there we go. I'm just below Chattanooga. We are on the edge of a winter storm that came off the Atlantic Ocean. There we go. Sonny, what's going on, my man? Visual, you. So, and this is the thing, is the visual part of this. What's neat about this, once you can kind of go, instead of seeing the if you will, the dots and the spaces, you can actually go, all right, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, and you kind of begin to go, hey, I'm in fill in the blank key, and actually can see those notes up and down the neck. It's a game changer. So I'm going to get back to Chris's questions in a minute. When I look at the diagram, I see C major, F Lydian shape, B Locrian shape, E Phrygian shape, A minor shape. What's wrong with the way I see things? Okay, so there is, first of all, there is nothing wrong. So what Chris is talking about there, what's going on, Fran? How you doing? Uh-oh, hold on, I hit the wrong button there. Come on, there we go. Hey. What's going on? Great to see you. Fran is a friend and guitar fanatic from the Nuno Betancourt 6-string Sanctuary Guitar Camp. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Fran had a birthday there during Nuno's camp. It was awesome. All right, so what Chris is talking about is what I affectionately that's a little clean on those bottom strings. So the deal is we're taking, I'm in the key of G major, so I'm basically taking the notes of G major, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C. Wasn't expecting to do that this morning. All right, so the deal is we're basically taking the first 6 notes of each of the 3-note string modes for the key of G major. And if you think about the G major scale, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, as in major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, Locrian, and major, these are what I affectionately refer to as modal string pairs. So what Chris was talking about of seeing that as the first 6 notes of C major, this as the first 6 notes of F Lydian. Because if we were to take the F Lydian mode, that would be that. So that's what I affectionately refer to as a 1, 2, 3, 4 shape. This guy, that is what I would affectionately refer to as a 7 shape that we're playing, starting off with the 7th degree of C major, which is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, And then this guy right here is starting with that 7, 1, 2, 3. That's the 3 shape. And this guy right here is the 6 shape. And basically that 1 shape is starting off the 1st degree. This 4 shape starting off the 4th degree. That 7 shape starting off the 7th degree. That 3 shape is starting off the 3rd degree. And that 6 shape is starting off the 6th degree. So basically this would be A minor. This would be E frigid. This would be Locrian. And this would be F Lydian. And this would be C major again. And the idea is you can walk up and be able to walk up and down each one of those string pairs just like that. So as Chris pointed out, the great thing about this is if you see those as note names, you can kind of go, all right, C, D, E, F, A, B, C, major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, mixed Lydian, minor, Locrian, major. So if we're starting off there, that's a B. B Locrian. Then there's that note right there is A, so I guess that means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, A minor. And the beauty of that, like Francesco was talking about, you can begin to see these neighbor relationships. That's 6, that's 7, that's 1, that's 2, and you begin to be a walk up and down each one of these pairs of strings, or what I refer to affectionately as modal string pairs. So Chris, you would in no way, shape, or form be wrong there. And kind of what we're also talking about doing here is you can also see that as there's C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. Oh wow, what a cool little exercise. All right, so for those of you that want to delve into this from that framework, you could basically go C, E, G, D, F, A, E, G, B, F, C, G, B, D, A, C, B, D, F, C, E, G. Then go E, G, C, F, A, D. That is to say, we're basically going 1, 3, 5. 1, flat, 3, 5, 1, flat, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, flat, 3, 5, 1, flat, 3, 5, flat 5 rather, 1, 3, 5. Then you can go right. Oh boy, my brain is gonna hurt. Right, okay. So what we're doing is instead of going 1, 3, 5, we're going 5, 3, 1. Sorry, 1, 3, 5, we're going 3, 5, 1. So basically we're going to have a minor third and a perfect fourth. Then we're going to major third, perfect fourth, major third, perfect fourth, minor third, perfect fourth, minor third, perfect fourth, major third, perfect fourth, minor third, augmented fourth, and major third, and perfect fourth. So that basically was C major. So the note names are going to be E, G, C, F, A, D, G, B, E. Right. All right. G, B, E, A, C, E. No. G, B, E, G, B, E. Right. G, B, E. Right. A, C, F. Right, because that's F major in first inversion. A, C, F, B, D, G, which is G major in first inversion, and then and B, D, G, C, E, G, and then G, D, F, B, which is B diminished in first inversion, and then G, E, C, the C major in first inversion. That, and then of course the next step is being able to go, all right, well that was first inversion. I'm watching me limp through it in real time. Thank you very much. Now we're gonna go 5, 1, 3. So that's gonna be G, C, E, A, D, F. No. Hold on. A, Yeah, A D. No. Yeah, A D F. Uh, I hope you're enjoying this. C G E A D F. That's. And I can actually look at the notes here. That's going to be B E G uh, C C F G. Hold on, let me make sure I got it. That C F. All right, C F A. Sorry, my bad. C F A D G B. All right, that's going to need to be right. That's going to be E E A C, and then F B D, and then G C E. So the ability to do that and be able to track that, of course, would be able to play those backwards, calling out E C G, and be able to play through all those tries like that. So let me just be really clear what you saw me do a very lame presentation of, but at least give me an A for courage. Basically, I was taking, instead of going C E G, that's 1 through 5, I was going E G C, and then G C E, and then playing through that. And being able to play through all of those. So I'm gonna play just the shapes. And this is the thing about some of this. The shapeology will help. There, basically, this major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, 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 minor, 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 major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. Then the idea is going, okay, well, now we're going to do it in first inversion. There's major, minor. You know, I'm not going to waste your time doing that. I promise I will be working on that. But the idea is, there's basically, that's 3, 5, 1, flat 3, 5, 1, flat 3, flat 3, 5, flat 3, flat 3, 5. Oh, right. Sorry, that's B. Flat 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 3, 3, 5, 1, 3, 3, 5, 1, 3. No, that flat 3, 5, 1, so on and so forth. You get the idea. But being able to track that, one, by the shapes is helpful, but to really be able to do that as note names is really that it. So you kind of see where my work is to be done. So getting back to one of Chris's questions is like setting goals for the year. So I'm still kind of scrolling through the chat here. And I apologize slightly for that humbling example, but you know what? It's really good to answer Chris's question, I'm going to scroll through the chat in just a moment. One of the things is that where we all run into a certain amount of quicksand is we have enough different things that we want to practice and be competent on. And for me, I have a number of different things that on any given weekend of teaching, one, I want to be able to pull them out here. Two, I want to be able to go over them with my students. Three, I want to be able to play them proficiently. And four, I want to be able to finger them to the point of excellence, including new things that I'm still working out that in all reality, sometimes as I'm out working this stuff, it takes me a minute to kind of wrap my head around it and my fingers around it, especially this business here. However, it means that I kind of have this feeling, like many of you, just like, there's so much stuff, how do I do it? So to answer Chris's question, I think I can drag this over here. I've got a couple of tools. There we go. Let's drag the JPEG. I should be able to drag that off. Come on. There we go. So there you've got my little tick time little clock. And there we go. So that little mini clock, you have the ability to turn it to 15-minute increments. So generally speaking, increasingly kind of since I've been home, before I actually kind of indulge in my little caffeine boost there in the beginning of the day, I'll start running through stuff. And so for me, one of the things I'm wanting to do is really get my pentatonic playing per this pentatonic course that I'm working on, which, by the way, is going to precede the theory for guitar. I taught the course basically in one of the sections at Nuno's camp, and the room was packed. And I was like, okay, this is a felt need. Note to self, I'm hearing you. Like, okay, great. So I'm just kind of getting some of the exercises worked up to speed, including being able to go, hey, there's G, B flat, C, D, F, G, B flat, C, D, F, G, B flat, and really helping it so that rather you're just playing the shapes, you actually know the note names. However, there's a certain amount with the minor pentatonic, especially wacky strings like this, the strings of death for those of us. Oh. Those little string pairs there on third and second. Those are feisty, but getting them underneath your fingertips is the deal. The other thing is pattern number 5. All those pinky notes. Now those of us that are old school, we might be inclined to play that with all first and thirds. But being able to get the pinky up and running, doing that means that as we do harder things with the minor pentatonic, we're able to do that. So part of my slightly unreasonable thing is to get practiced and up enough with the pentatonic that anything that I might want to do combination-wise, I can just go, oh, I want to do that and be able to play it. My physical capacity is the limiting factor, which means I just have to sit in there and bang away with the metronome. The humility and the discipline involved in doing that are the two keys to just being go like, I'm not there yet. Okay. But the discipline of like, I'm just going to keep banging away on it, that's the part that allows you to kind of get up over the top of the hill and kind of go, you know what? I may not be on the next hill, but I'm not looking up on the hill that I was before. And it's just, you got to be okay. It's like you're going to go up one hill and you're going to go down the next one. You go up the next hill and down the next one. And understanding that ebb and flow is important. The other thing that I want to encourage you to do, that I've been working my best to do, is the things that are hard for me. For example, these little... Oh, wait. I'm working on these guys. That's flipping hard. It's the pinky. I don't know about you, but my pinky is stubborn. It's got a mind of its own. So that's literally taking C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E, C, E, G, G, E, C, E, G, C, C, G, E, G, E, C. My ability to play it, have my hand do it, and my brain think it, pretty much at the top of my list. And my pinky is starting to come along for the ride, but it just takes this one. This little. But once I get there, I'm going to be able to play through this, and I'm going to know those notes up and down the neck in all those different inversions, like over there. And then I'm going to really know it. My knowledge on the instrument, my ability to kind of go whatever chord I'm playing over. I'm going to briefly reveal a little bit of the plot here. So if we were to take the D minor pentatonic note, that is to say, well, let's, yeah. I dropped my pick. I need a plectrum. All right, there we go. So if we were to think about the C major scale, and we were to think about the D minor pentatonic scale, so that is to say, if you took the major scale and thought about major, Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, Mixolydian, minor, Locrian, major, the places you can play the minor pentatonic over the top of the modes of the major scale are Dorian, the 2-mode, Phrygian, the 3-mode, and minor, the 6-mode. You can kind of get a way of playing it over the 5, but we're not going to have that conversation now. But the deal is that if you look at the Dorian mode, which is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7, 1, and the formula of the minor pentatonic is 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7, 1, it is a direct fit, note for note, over the Dorian, Phrygian, and minor scale, for the same reasons I just demonstrated there with Dorian. So the point being is let's say I'm in D Dorian, and those notes are D, F, G, A, C, D, and I'm playing a G major chord. Well, those notes are C, E, G. what I'm going to do in the process of the course is I'm going to write out, hey, we had, there we go, D, F, G, A, C, and then our octave right there. Those are the notes of the D minor pentatonic. So as you look at this C major chord, you got a C, yes, we got an E, no, we got a G, yes. And in turn being able to interpolate that C, E, G, the 1, 3, 5 of the 1 chord, are really basically the minor pentatonics 1, flat 3, 4, 5, flat 7. So those are going to be, those basically are 4 and are flat 7. That is to say, these notes that is to say, this is the 1, 3, 5 of C major, C, E, G. But as we think about D minor pentatonic, that C, E, and G, that G and that C are the 1, flat 3, 4, 5, and flat 7, the 4 and the flat 7. So that is to say, by being able to create a very specific chart of which notes of the minor pentatonic fit, then again, we look. I'm going to circle. All right. So we basically of this C, E, and G, we had our C, which is this. We had our G, which is that. So that basically is our 4 and our flat 7. So that allows us to figure out, okay, if I'm playing a D minor pentatonic, that's to say I should be able to outline. You should be able to hear me outline the chord changes by outlining those two notes that are the intersection of that chord and this one. So basically there's going to be a bunch of charts that are going to allow you for the 2 mode, the 3 mode, and the 6 mode to be able to articulate what the notes of the chords are and how they function in the minor pentatonic, started off the 2, the 3, and the 6. And that way you're going to have a kind of like, hey, these are the notes you can use. This is how they're functioning in the chord. That is to say, the C and the G are the 1 and the 5. But as we think about D minor pentatonic, it's the 4 and the flat 7. I'm going to probably not make people do the heavy lifting other than to explain that as succinctly as I possibly can. However, what that means is that for any one of the chords you would play in that key, you will know which notes overlap in the minor pentatonic, which means you can be soloing and knowing which notes to choose as you go to whichever chord, because there are going to be these micro chord progressions where I just pair each pair of chords together. That was the 2 chord going to the 1 chord, then the 2 chord going to the 3 chord. And the idea is you're going to be able to, in the most simplistic way, be able to go, oh, I know what notes those are by knowledge. I can hear how they overlap, and I'm going to put them underneath my fingertips. And that's the piece that kind of isn't being taught with the pentatonic, but will be. But the point being is that's kind of where all this stuff. And the crazy thing is we kind of went from, as Chris was talking about, kind of these modal string pairs. This guy. That basically that's an F Lydian. Now, let me take that thought a little bit further. If we were thinking about, if I started the C major scale off its 4th degree, I played a C instead of a, I played a B. What did I play? I played a, that's a B. I played a B flat. But it's always good to know what notes you played wrong. So there, kind of what I was doing, kind of walked. I was walking through. There's my 3 shape, 4 shape, 5, 6, 7. That's a 7 shape. Walked up across 3 octaves, and if I know that I'm in the key of C, that's my 1. I guess that's a B. That's a B. That's a B. There's my 6 shape at A. There's my 5 shape at G. 4 at F sharp. Or sorry, at F rather. I spent too much time in G. Now if I play that shape, because I know compared to the major scale, that's the first 6 notes of the major scale. That's the first. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 1, 2, 3, sharp 4, 5, 6. I can know that's the only mode possible. Is Lydian. I can hear the root, which means I know I can play that shape. Oh, I played an F sharp. That's the other thing, muscle memory. I know that's an F. I know that's a G. But my fingers have gotten really used to playing that F sharp there at the 11th fret. And this one right here at the 14th fret. But after a while, you begin to kind of go, when you start thinking about things as the note names, we know that's an F. Even if we play an F sharp, we know that that's an F sharp instead of an F. So now as I'm playing E, F, and G, F, G, and A, G, A, and B, A, B, and C, B, C, and D, C, D, and E. And I'm going to walk up to the E, the F, G, and A. And I can walk. And move those things around, and I am leveraging what I know muscle memory wise is the shape, but that's going to be an E, F, G, A. That note right there, it's going to be a C. That's an F. So which means the work that I'm doing to kind of be able to translate what my fingers are doing, my ability to kind of visualize it, but also know the notes. That's F right there at the 13th fret. That's mainly stuff that over the past, it's probably been 6 long months, but 3 most intensively the past 3 months kind of going, if I learn to look at the neck like that, it's going to open up a lot of stuff. All right, let me jump back into the chat here real quick. And I've got a lesson that starts in 5 minutes. So let me see if I can, I'm going to, on the screen diagram, not the board. Sorry, Chris, thanks. Braxel, oh, there we go. We got the Texas people in the house. What's going on, Hugo? How you doing? Boom. Great to see you. All right. Hey, Chris, what's happening? Oh, awesome. Excellent, 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 excellent. I love feedback. And first of all, by the way, the people that are here, there are way more people either have this thing going on a screen and not commenting, and they're off in the other room cooking breakfast, or some people are a little shy. The best thing I can do to serve you is to answer your questions. So there's no question that's too dumb or too smart to ask. And if I don't know the answer, I'm going to tell you I don't know the answer. In any case, feel free to jump in. You were invited to. All right. Gosh darn it. Can you explain how to play Playing God by Polyphia? No, I can't. And first of all, hi. So there are certain things that are, how do I say this? Let me not go too far down the rabbit trail. First of all, brilliant piece of music, brilliant guitar playing, and there are certain things. It's a really great point to Chris's comment about what to practice and what not to practice. Stylistically, what I'm trying to do with my own playing, for better, worse, or in between, is get to a point that if you hear one of my songs, you might actually go, gosh, that might be Doug. Desperately fixated on that for the past 3 years, which is why it's taken me 3 years to come out with 2 albums, because I'm trying to develop a sound that, whether it's the tone, whether it's the touch, the pacing where you kind of, or the vibrato, little bit of chromaticon. Or if I turn on a little bit of the honculator. Kind of what I refer to as kind of a guitar harmonica. Comes out a little bit better with a more distorted tone. Let me make sure I'm not going to blow people out with it. Now that may not be your thing, and there's lots of things that aren't my thing. I love polyphia, but getting the time that it would take me to kind of develop that particular style is one of the choices I've made. I'm not going to do so. That kind of the modern, brilliant playing, that clean, crystalline, compressed tone, as much as I love to hear it, I'm kind of going, I'm not going to do it. So I can't help you there, unfortunately. However, thanks to YouTube, there are a million people that can, and I wish you all the most fulfillment, enjoyment, and inspiration. But I will say this to everybody here. We are living in a world, I got 1 minute, and I'm not going to get to all the people that have kindly checked in, so my apologies. For missing Brett Van V, great to see you. Rick, hello, my dear friend. Nandini, I take that's you. George, hello. Vid Relay, all the people. I'm not going to get to everybody. Hello, Scott, hello. Anybody that I missed, my apologies. Jason, hello. The deal is I want you to be encouraged to kind of find when you pick up the guitar, unless you're like, hey, I am totally satisfied imitating others. But the thing that I was most moved by the Nuno Betancourt camp was of all the different players that got a chance to sit in with Nuno and play along with his jam track, everybody sounded like them. And I love that. There's so much imitation, and I want to encourage you to find you when you pick up the guitar. And, so let's see, because my lesson's supposed to start now. 1, pacing. I'm going to be in B flat. When you lay into the notes, is everything played with the same volume level? Or so these little dynamic peaks and valleys. Signature vibrato. And it's what I call a wiggly exclamation point. It's that exclamation point at the end of the sentence. Now a slide, little kind of bend, a bend, and a slide. Interval, whatever. I'm big into this hybrid picking. Diet. Different intervals. Octaves. Vibrato. All the different things you can do. There's my phone ringing, letting me know it's time for my lesson. Yep. In case, hey, I got to go. So the idea is I want to encourage you. First of all, there's so much we can learn about ourselves through studying other players. So that's not to say don't fall face first into playing God. However, when you do, come out from it and go, what can I take from that and turn that into me? Much love to you. Thank you so much for hanging out. I look forward to seeing you next Saturday. I'm so glad to be back. Much love, kisses, and hugs, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again. Sorry I didn't get a chance to chat with everybody. I got to go.